Welcome to the Kitsap Matters podcast. In each episode, we discuss the people, places, and things that make Kitsap County unique, covering local entertainment, restaurants, business, government, and anything else we find interesting, troubling, or just plain amusing. This is a community-focused podcast, but sometimes financial topics do arise, and since the host is a licensed financial professional, we have to include the following disclosure in every episode. The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it's in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Kevin Campbell is an investment advisor representative of and advisory services offered through USA Financial Securities, a registered investment advisor located at 6020 East Fulton Street, Ada, Michigan, 49301. Peaks Financial is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities. Hi, welcome to the Kitsap Matters podcast. I'm Kevin Campbell, and today I'm thrilled to welcome back to the podcast Dan Weedin. For over 3 decades, Dan has been a go-to resource for individuals and business owners looking for more than just insurance policies when they want peace of mind. From life and disability insurance to long-term care, Dan helps protect what matters most, your family, your legacy, and your future. So beyond insurance, he's also a crisis navigator, guiding businesses through unexpected challenges with strong continuity plans. He's also an author, a LinkedIn learning instructor, and coach, not to mention coach of the Kitsap golf team, right? Kitsap,
That's right.
Kitsap
That's
NK
right.
golf team, boys golf team, the voice of the NK Vikings, and he is dedicated to helping others live an unleashed life. So now, Dan is stepping into a new role as candidate for mayor of Poulsbo, Washington, bringing his leadership and passion for the community to the next level. So today we're going to kind of explore his vision for Poulsbo as he runs for mayor. So Dan, welcome back to the show.
Am I your first return?
His first return guest.
So
Hey, you
honored.
were actually one of the first guests of the podcast. You're in one of our first episodes. I think in the first 5.
I think I was one of your first guinea pigs.
Yes.
Was that? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to be the first one back. Thank you for having me.
So I saw the announcement that you decided to run for mayor. My first question, and the first time I saw you after that, my first question to you was, I hear you're glutton for punishment. Right? What were you thinking?
Yeah, I have no idea. Throwing my tea into the ring, so to speak. It's very funny. My wife Barb and I have a longtime friend. She was a client years and years ago when she had a business. I coached her daughter in high school basketball. We've known each other forever. She sent Barb a text saying, I think Dan's Facebook page has been hacked because I just saw he made this announcement. She was joking, of course. You know, really, Kevin, in all seriousness, it's something that probably over the years I thought, I think it would be fun to be mayor. I think I have the skill sets. I love leadership. I love the community. The things that
You're
I have
definitely ingrained in it. Right? You're deep in the community.
The things I've done over my professional career, I think, would lend to that. But I didn't want that full-time job. I mean, that was just a huge,
massive commitment. And we've
And
been so lucky as a city to have, Mayor Becky.
Well, I've seen her seen her whiteboard. It's like, no, that's not me. But when the move was made to the city administrator position, I remember that coming out. In fact, Barb had told me, she goes, did you see that? And I read, and all of a sudden this little light came on that says, so they've taken the part of managing all the departments, dealing with the day-to-day business of the city, and they're giving that to somebody who enjoys that part, leaving I know in air quotes, part-time decision, part-time mayor, but really it's still about the leadership. It's about the engagement, the community engagement, whether it be ceremonial or whether it be pounding the table for Poulsbo in regional meetings. It's still about listening to the people and talking and working with the council and all of the strategic things, visionary things that I enjoy, and I think this is really important.
But nowhere near as much administration.
But I think it's important that I'm also a Poulsbo business person.
Right.
I still run, as you mentioned, I still run my own business, and I get to keep doing that because I like that too.
Yeah.
And so the confluence of that, I I put it out to Barb, and she kind of looked at me in a different way, although we had a conversation, and she said, look, this is something you want to do, I fully support you. So I had to get my family's vote first. Right. Including, my daughter who lives in town, and we kind of went, everybody was fine, so that's when I thought, yeah, this probably is the place in my life, Kevin, where I am as a business professional, where I am at my age. I'm about to turn 60 here as we record this, and what I want to do into the future. This seems to make sense right now, and especially with Becky retiring.
Mm-hmm. When is her actual retirement?
Well, it's the end of next year, so her term concludes December 31, 2025.
Gotcha.
So the new mayor will take over first day, January 1, 2026.
And so when this election will be a November election next year, or do you know when the mayor election will be?
Yes, kind of. So the interesting thing is, because from past elections, not necessarily of mayor, I don't know exactly how it works. In early May, you have to file. So I haven't filed anything. You can't file early, but I made my declaration because, as you know, it's a campaign. You got to get your name out there. So you file in May. If there are more than 2 candidates, let's say you have 3 or more, you're going to have a primary in August. It's going to whittle it down to 2, and those 2 will go on to the general election, as you see with a lot of other situations.
Gotcha.
What I truly don't know at this point is, what if there's only 2? They're not going to run 2 elections. That's costly. It's either going to be in August or November. I don't know which one. That's the part I don't know. I guess it'll remain to be seen by the time May rolls around and we find out how many people have filed. If it's 2, I don't know the.
We know of at least 2 so far.
Yeah, we know of 2 so far. So there's 2 of us.
Right.
But if there's more, and gosh,
yeah, this would be one of my questions: is do you know who else is running? Obviously.
Well, I know Ed Stern.
Ed Stern is running.
Ed Stern,
currently deputy mayor and city councilman Ed Stern.
And I'll say this about Ed, and I mean this absolutely. Ed and I are friends.
Yeah.
I've known Ed 25 years. Maybe somewhere in that area. We've been friends. We've been colleagues. He was actually my first call.
Really?
When I made the decision. I did not know he was planning. In fact, I don't know if he had made his final decision. I don't know. You'd have to ask him. But he was my first call, and he truly embraced it. He said, in fact, his words were, our mission of getting the word out that this new mayor can come from the professional ranks, from people. He goes, we wanted that to get out. I'm glad you heard that.
Yeah.
So he was and we had coffee before his announcement. We're good. And what I would like to say, just to anybody listening or watching this, I don't know who else might come in, but between Ed and I'm hoping that this will be a model for what a respectful, friendly debate about whether it be issues or the vision. This is going to be the model of how a good election should be run. I truly mean that, and I know Ed means that. I know he's in, I'm in. We actually laughed about this over coffee. It would be hubris to think that it's just going to be him and me. I just think that that's presumptuous.
Right.
I have to believe that at
least somebody else will throw a hat in the ring.
I'm not the only person who said, "Oh, look, they have a city administrator. It's a part." I think I can do that, because before you'd have to quit your job.
Yeah.
You know, and really what happens, I think, is it comes to a point where somebody's retired, or they're thinking about retirement, or they're coming from some other place to be able to do what Becky did. That was amazing. Now it's a position that says, hey, you could be 60, 42, 50, whatever you want. You've got a career. You're a financial planner. You're an insurance agent. You're whatever. You can still do this. And so I guess that's a long way of saying I have to believe there would be more. But to answer your original question, if it was just Ed and me, I don't know if it's in August or in November.
Yeah,
I don't know how that
interesting
works.
to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny when you announced. I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, 2 guys. I'm friends with both of them.
Yeah, and we're friends with each other.
Yeah.
And I think, and again, I'll say this, and I should campaign for me, but I'm going to say this about Ed. I believe both of us have a vision of Poulsbo that aligns with what we want to see. We want to see Poulsbo flourish. We want to see people, the citizens of Poulsbo, enjoy their parks, enjoy their streets, enjoy their businesses, enjoy their schools. That with all of the things around what expected growth is going to be in a very kind of a getting cramped city, those are challenges. But I think the vision of what what everybody, and I think anybody running for mayor would say is, we all want a thriving, fun, great city that Poulsbo is. And I said this to somebody, I don't think Poulsbo is not broken. This isn't me running on an agenda that, hey, we got to make these. Poulsbo just has some things to look at. Especially
it's
around
a great town, but it's going to have some challenges. And
it's
the growth out here and things like that.
We have infrastructure that we're live around water. It is what it is. So there's going to be, how do we do that in a way that impacts and that is positive for everybody.
Yeah. So what? Tell me, and I know, like you said, you're like 72 hours into this, right? I mean, you just announced a couple of days ago.
I did.
And it just happened to be that we were talking about, so the reason we got you on the podcast so fast, we happened to be recording today already, and I had a cancellation. I'm like, Dan, come on in. So I know this is, I might be throwing some stuff at you that you're not prepared to answer. And if that's
so, I don't know is acceptable.
Absolutely, yeah, totally acceptable. Again, you just announced for mayor, like literally 72 hours ago.
Yeah.
But what do you And you've been a Poulsbo resident for how long now?
Well, I've been in North Kitsap since 1993.
Yeah, so
we moved into Poulsbo in April of 2001. So my kids attended Pearson Elementary. Yeah. So we weren't in Poulsbo itself, but we moved into Poulsbo.
Yeah. Poulsbo adjacent.
We were coming into Poulsbo because they were playing Little League in Poulsbo and all of that. So, but I've been a resident of North Kitsap since 1993 and in Poulsbo city limits.
So you've seen a lot already. I mean, I can't imagine how, I haven't only been in Poulsbo a few years. I've been in Kitsap County for 8 years now, but I've only been in Poulsbo for a few years. I can imagine that the amount of growth that you've seen since you've been here has got to be just stunning. But so what would you say is would be your vision for the city, for like a 5-year, 10-year vision? And again, if this, I know you just announced, so if this is stuff that you're not quite sure yet how to articulate, that's fine as well.
Yeah.
But what do you think is going to occur over the next 5 to 10 years, and what do you think is the vision there?
I can talk big picture vision. I don't necessarily know how I would say to fix it. I mean, that or to solve that. To give you some context, you know where I live. I live, just off of Finn Hill, going up towards what is now Walmart. That direction there was nothing.
Yeah.
There was no Walmart. There was no Olympic College. There was nothing. City ultimately annexed part of that to get all of that in. I envision that more and more people are going to be finding Poulsbo to be a place that they want to raise their families, grow old together. And I just see it as a place that people want to come and live, number one. On top of that, it's also a place that people from outside the city limits also want to come. Mm-hmm. I went to go meet a fellow Rotarian to talk about a Rotary project. We said, let's go meet downtown at one of the restaurants. Good thing I had to go to the post office after that, because that's where I ended up parking. Yeah. People are coming in from outside, from all around North Kitsap and from all around. So from a vision standpoint, I want to be a welcoming community to everyone, whether it's citizens in Poulsbo or people who are coming to enjoy Poulsbo. That means we have to be able to park people. We have to be able to make transportation in and out. We have to make sure there's safety and security. So from that angle, that's one. And these aren't going in priority order. They're as coming out of my head. The next one is schools. Now, I was on the school board for 5 years. I'm sure people will remind me of that throughout this. I'm guessing that'll come up. I was on the school board for 5 years. North Kitsap High School, Poulsbo Middle School, Poulsbo Elementary. They're all part of the city. Vinland. All of those are part of the city. I have 4 grandchildren that are going to be going through that process. how do we deal with capacity issues that we are having in schools? When I was on the school board, we weren't having those capacity. In fact, we had the opposite problem. Today, that's not the issue. How do we make sure that our schools, especially in the city, are able to deal with security? I'll let the teachers do their thing. I'm going to guess that the administrators and the teachers, they get the teaching part. But how do we make sure we're not putting people into the hall to try to be able to listen? How do we make sure that we can help support schools do their job? That would be the second one. And
we've had some challenges with. We've had, as I recall now, several failed initiatives for the schools where the voters aren't supporting some of the things that need to occur in the schools.
Yeah, we had the capital. I think it was the capital projects. The levy did just pass, which is the operational levy, which is incredibly important. Technology, and this is going to cover a lot of different things for schools and for businesses to take advantage of technology. There's an infrastructure thing. There's a lot of parts of Poulsbo that are older, and the buildings can't handle, what businesses might need to have to be able to do from a digital technology standpoint. We've seen that in schools. So I think, I think the biggest things for me, safety and security, transportation, schools, and I just want to be that we have the welcome into Poulsbo. We have I want that to be us. I want people to say, I want to go to Poulsbo. I want to live in Poulsbo. I want to raise my kids in Poulsbo. I want to live my golden years in Poulsbo.
Are there any, hot button issues for you where you're like, hey, I know you said, hey, this Poulsbo's not broken or anything like that. But are there any issues where you think that the city's gone wrong on things like, and we won't get into this, but like as you know from our conversations, I'm not a fan of the new B&O tax that passed, but which we don't need to get into that. But from your perspective, are there issues that you think are there things that you think need to be done differently? There are hot button issues, or is it now? Because again, it's a great place.
I'm coming in a little bit tabula rasa. I think I said that right. I'm a little bit of a blank slate on that. I am obviously going to start attending board meetings. I mean, I follow it in the news. I've done that. But until really about a month ago, the thought of being mayor wasn't there. So I was just being a citizen. I would say I'm not looking at that. I really want to look at the future and say, look, let's take a look at this with a fresh look. Whatever happened before happened. We're going to have a new hybrid version of government, which we never have had before. We have a city administrator and a part-time mayor. That's new. We also have statistics on what we could potentially look like population-wise. We know all of these things. I think, I've listened to enough of Mayor Becky's over the years, hey, this is the state of Poulsbo. And I think I understand where some of those challenges are. I don't feel like I can go back and say, I have been directly impacted poorly to the point that I have an agenda on that. So I'd like to table that for now. But even then, I'm a looking forward guy. And can I use a quick golf metaphor?
Sure. I know you're going to anyway, so I'm just
saying. You knew
yes.
I was going to, because I coach high school golf, and this is what I tell my kids. Now, sometimes on the golf course, I don't always practice what I preach, but I try. I would tell you, Kevin, I know you just had a bad hole there, but the worst thing you can do is make the next hole bad because of that. I need you to look into the future. You have enough hazards and potential traps up ahead before you get to the green. Let's focus on how do we manage this hole. Now, it can be easier said than done, but that's really because I'm not sitting on a city council. I'm not sitting on any committees. I'm coming at this as a past private citizen saying, okay, bias is not necessarily a bad word. I have no bias in this. And I think that it's easy to get caught up in, hey, I'm stuck on this. I'm stuck on nothing. I want to go in with a clear slate and say, let's talk first about what are the potential hazards and traps ahead of us and how together, because I think we all want the same thing, how together do we get there?
Yeah. So what else, from a mayoral standpoint, like a lot of my questions that I have, I think are ones that are probably a little too preliminary right now. But
And I'm happy to come back on your show later on and talk about those.
I know you would be. So I think there are a few things, and I've that I think are going to be challenges for Poulsbo a little bit on the business side. And I've talked to Deputy Mayor Stern about this. Is that some of the taxation that has just been passed, the B&O tax that was just passed and implemented, now gives Poulsbo the highest B&O tax in the county.
Yeah.
So if I'm not, so it's one thing about, for businesses that are already here, but as far as attracting new businesses, that creates a little bit of a headwind.
Yeah.
Is going, okay, why should I locate my business inside Poulsbo versus Kingston
when you
or
go to Silverdale or
somewhere else and not pay all these taxes?
Yeah.
So I think that's going to create a little bit of headwinds. I think that'll be a challenge.
I think so. And if I can, I'll speak real. I actually have to pay that.
Right. Yeah.
I have to pay the same thing.
Yeah.
I can't tell you that I know enough about it now, but what I think one of the areas that I can bring to the table I like asking the same. I'm a podcaster too. I like asking those same questions, and you and other business owners. I mean, it's just me. I kind of say I pay a business. It's not the same for me as it is for you and for so many other larger business. I want to talk to them and find out. Tell me what your feelings are about this. What concerns you? And then find out, okay, where's that money directly going? Yeah. I don't know that yet. That's way preliminary. I don't know the answer to that yet. So I need to understand better what the process was and the why into putting it in. But it's an area. I mean, I know topics. I'll give you I've already heard. Believe me, in just the 72 hours, I've had people texting me or sending me, and that's fine. They can do it. I had somebody say, hey, when you become mayor, it's like, hey, hold on.
Back up. Back up here.
I tried to get into Poulsbo, and it took me forever to get parking. Well, that happened to me later that day.
Yeah.
That's going to be an issue.
We do have a parking issue.
We have parking issue, and I know people are. I've also heard, hey, about paying for parking, and well, we may not be able to solve it for everybody, but let's talk big first. We got a parking issue, right? That is an issue. We have. I don't know if you've ever tried to get through Poulsbo in any direction at around 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's a traffic issue. That's
certainly better here than it is down Bremerton and other parts of the county.
Completely. But in reality, you ask what's changed in the 30 years that was non-existent.
Right, traffic issues, yeah.
Completely non-existent. And so we know that if there's more people coming in, there's going to be more vehicles. So, I know that those are two of the issues. And look, I know it's not school board, but the schools are an important aspect of within the city. How do we help? And let's face it, we have relationships with the Suquamish tribe. Mm-hmm. That's incredibly important. They're a great partner and have been a great partner. And I don't even know that. What are their concerns? What are they worried about moving forward? I'm going to attempt to try to talk to that leadership too, and I'm sure I know Leonard Forsman. I'd be happy, So those relationships, all of that. This is about collaboration, and so we have some topics. I've already been told some of them, and you and I will talk more about the business because I want to learn more on that. But I think those are probably the topics first, and I'll bring up one more: affordable housing.
Yeah, huge problem.
Poulsbo's numbers are. I was blown away by what it costs to rent someplace. Because people who are renting are paying way more than I'm paying for my mortgage.
Right.
And I mean, it's not even close. And that's not the way it used to be when you and I were growing up. The big thing was, I got to pay a mortgage. The rent is down here. That's no longer the case. And so it leads to...
as high as the rents are, mortgages are even higher, right? So
yeah, it leads to homelessness.
Yeah.
It leads to food insecurity. It leads to mental health issues and mental and I'll just throw this out here because now you got me going. Are we concerned about not only mental health but addiction issues, drug use, things like that? I have grandkids. I worry about that. going through, what will they face. So those are all, we can throw together a whole bunch. I don't have solutions yet, but I know that those are the traps and the hazards that lay in wait over the next couple of holes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be some challenges for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're just about out of time for the podcast today, but is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else on your mind before we wrap for the podcast for today?
Yeah, one more thing, if that's, and thank you for asking. I know people may look at this and say, what kind of experience do you have? What kind of background are you ready for? Why would you be ready for this? Your opponent has all these years, and in full respect, that's fantastic. That what he's done from service is great. As far as a readiness standpoint, here's my thoughts, Kevin. Barb and I got married at 21, being high school sweethearts. I wasn't ready to be married, but it's worked out, and I'm glad I didn't wait. Had kids that started at 23. I wasn't ready to be a dad, but I'm glad I didn't wait. When I was 35 years old, I got the high school coaching job, coaching high school basketball. I had never coached at the high school level before. I wasn't ready for that. And maybe some people would say, yeah, you definitely weren't ready for it. But it worked out well, and I'm glad I didn't wait. At 41, I quit my job about the time my kids were going to go in school to start my practice. Next year is 20 years. I'm glad I didn't wait. If we wait until we are ready, we're never going to do anything. Yeah. I believe the experiences that I've had in business, in nonprofits, in the volunteer work I've done, the leadership roles I've had, the things that I've done, I think that those all still lend themselves to being ready to do this. So I guess I want to get that out early. I believe that my life experience has made me uniquely positioned to be ready to be mayor of Poulsbo.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you on
Thank
that. And again, I think at some point you should have your head examined. But
I've had people telling me that for a lot longer than just now. But
yeah. So thanks for joining me on the podcast. It'll be interesting to see what happens, and of course, we welcome you back anytime you want to come back. And
and I would say this: if you ever want to have like a specific like that, and I say, hey, I'm ready to talk about this more, I'll let you know.
Oh, I think maybe we should have the Ed Stern, Dan Weedin debate on the podcast.
I would love to have that. I'll wear my purple husky tie, and he can wear his gold or blue cow tie, and we can duke it out.
Right on. That'll be fun. So that's going to be it. That's another wrap for the Kitsap Matters podcast. Dan, again, thanks for being here. Good luck when you run for mayor.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you soon. This is a community-focused podcast, but sometimes financial topics do arise, and since the host is a licensed financial professional, we have to include the following disclosure in every episode. The strategies and concepts discussed are for educational purposes only and do not represent specific investment, tax, or estate planning advice. Investing carries an inherent element of risk, and it's in everyone's best interest to consult a tax, legal, or investment professional. Kevin Campbell is an investment advisor representative of and advisory services offered through USA Financial Securities, a registered investment advisor located at 6020 East Fulton Street, Ada, Michigan, 49301. Peaks Financial is not affiliated with USA Financial Securities.